Hey guys, I want to share my testimony about overcoming secular movies, like media, and including music. Um, because sin in America is so in your face that sometimes you don't even realize that you are um, accustomed to it or accepting it as normal. And it's something that I've learned because I leave the country so much. So every time I come back, I'm like overwhelmed by the amount of sin that is accepted. Um, but okay, so like with me, music is my joy. Like I love music. I have over 80 hours worth of music right now. But it's all Christian. And so I had non Christian, secular music um, for the longest time, but it wasn't until a year ago, a little less than a year ago, that I actually deleted it all. Um, because I realized that I had two different playlists. One, so when I was with God, I could turn it on, and then one when I didn't want to be with God. I mean, like it's just like I have to literally turn off my music so that I can focus on God. Um, and it didn't mean that like all of them were like terrible music. I mean, I went through phases. It took me a while to get to this process. Okay, so growing up, like I would watch and listen anything and everything. There weren't really too many boundaries put in place. And so, I mean, I just accepted it all. um, and so eventually, like, becoming a Christian, you go back and forth. You're like, oh, okay, like, maybe I'll just delete the songs that have a lot of cussing, or I'll put them in a different playlist so that when I'm with people, I'm not playing those songs. um, and so I saw this huge divide in myself of like, wow, like if I can't play all of my music around everybody, then am I like I'm like playing a schizophrenic. Like I'm trying to be multiple people. Um, and so of course, like I went through stages. I was like, okay, well, I just won't have songs that have cuss words. And then I went into this huge depression, and I was like, okay, my music is like pouring this depression into me. It is like feeding my depression. Um, and so I need to get rid of that because it's not giving me any hope. It's actually bringing me further down. Like, oh, I'm finally not alone. Somebody understands me. But honestly, it just sucks you in and into a deeper and darker place. It doesn't do you any justice. And so I started deleting those songs, and then I was like, I'll keep the upbeat, ones. Um, and then I was just like, oh my gosh, if these people, I know, if these people aren't glorifying God with their lives, like, because I'm happy, like, they're singing that for a different happiness. Like, their definition of happiness is different than mine. And so I took it to an even deeper level. I was like, whoa, I don't agree with that. And of course I could redefine it in my head, like, yeah, this is why I'm happy and this is what makes me happy. God makes me happy. But then it's just like, why don't I just sing that? Like, God, you make me happy. um, and so I just honestly, like, I I couldn't even look at my playlist of what I was going to delete because I was so sucked into music. Um, and I was so scared of losing it. So I didn't even want to know what I was losing. I just deleted it. And it was hard, but it's like now that I'm back home and I'm surrounded by people that listen to other things, now it's like, if I'm not listening to worship music or something that glorifies, praises God, like, I get so overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, those people are believing such a lie. Wow, they're so sad. Like, wow, they need healing. Like, they're literally crying out to the world for help, and nobody's helping them. They're praising them for being this way. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, or wow, they're searching for love in all the wrong places. Like, that's not love. And so, like, now when I hear it, I'm like, I don't live that life, so how can I agree with that life? And of course there's that verse like Matthew 15:11 that says, it's not what goes into your mouth but what comes out that defiles you. And so, like, same thing, like, I can listen to it and it's not going to defile me, but honestly I'm going to sing whatever I'm listening to. And so I'm defiling myself by singing out lies that I don't agree with. And so even when it comes to non-Christians, like, they don't listen to Christian music because they don't agree with it. It's not a part of their faith in nothing or faith in something else. Like, they're not going to agree with something that they don't agree with. But as Christians, for some reason, we're going to agree with something that they agree with that we actually don't agree with. And it just all just doesn't make sense. And so that's my that's my testimony with music. And if you need a playlist, I got you. I have all of my worship music, and then I have some that is like just more up to beat that I can work with, and then there's like only the psalms that are being sung because I like the scriptures being sung to me so that I can memorize scriptures better. So I just have like different types of playlists, but they're all glorifying God. So if you need help, I can send those. But when it comes to media, so during my little depression stage, I was having dreams of getting raped and murdered, kidnapped, like, every night. And so I fasted media. And I just realized, I mean, I was spending way too much time in front of a screen, so that way I didn't have to actually talk to people. Which, right then and there, I should know that, like, that is not what God made me for. To sit in front of a screen all the time. And so I fasted all of that, and it was actually really nice because I could spend my time more wisely. But then again, like, I wasn't feeding myself these lies once again. So there's another verse, Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Most of the things in media do not represent whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable. Like, not according to God. And so, like, if I'm, like, I used to struggle with lust really bad. Praise God that He has delivered me from that. But I would watch these movies or these shows that, I mean, people were cheating on each other. People were never staying married or never getting married. People were falling in love, going for the bad guy, or people were like doing all this weird stuff. That is not stuff that I believe in, and it's not something that I would want for myself. And so, why in the world would I watch it? And so, and it wasn't pure. Like, it didn't teach any biblical values. If anything, it made the world try to look good, even though those people are most likely miserable. And so, and then whatever is true, like, what? So, like, for instance, right now, our generation is huge about witches for some reason. Every single show or movie has some kind of witchcraft in it. And they try to make witches look good. Like, there's good witches and there's bad witches. And it's like, that's terrible theology. And that's tricking our children. Like, sorry, Harry Potter, but there are no good witches. Like, there's no good wizards. There's no good, like, no. Like, if you're practicing magic, I'm sorry, but that's against God. And it's just tricking our minds. It's confusing our minds. It's letting us accept something that is not good theology. for instance, Supernatural or Charmed. Those were my shows. I would watch those with my mom all the time. Um, and then there's the shows that promote fear, like Paranormal Activity or all of the horror movies. And now the horror movies are all about demonic stuff, which people in America have no idea that that stuff is actually real. I went to Africa and people were like, why do you guys even celebrate Halloween? That's evil. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because my culture makes it normal, but they just see the evil for what it is. I mean, they have witch doctors, total straight up witch doctors with bones hanging around and sacrifices and stuff. And it's just real to them. For us, we're just so blind to it. We're just like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's okay, I'll just accept it and invite it into my house and, have a party with it later as I'm fighting my depression and my anxiety and my fear and my worries and my everything. Why do I have problems? Oh, maybe because I'm just letting it come into my house. I'm sorry. But I seriously, I had to drop all of that. Because it wasn't helping me. It wasn't helping my walk with God. If anything, it was confusing my theology of what is true and what is not. And so my last verse is John 12:46. I have come into this world as a light, so that no one who believes in me should stay in darkness. And like I said, it's been a process. I've only been following him for 4 years, and it took me not even a year ago to finally delete stuff. And so it's it is a process. And it's hard at first, but as soon as you're free from it, you're like, wow, really, I was a slave to that. And now it's you can think more clearly. You can see things more clearly. You can actually point out evil because you're not agreeing with it. And you're not going to make excuses for it because you like it. Because we like the darkness and we like the evil, but we shouldn't. And so I encourage you guys to step out and really examine your lives and see what evil things am I accepting? Even if I'm not the one playing with the Ouija board, why am I watching somebody else on TV play with it? What is the purpose behind what we listen to and what we let into our eyes and our ears and come out of our mouths? Why do we accept it? Why are we conforming to the world and letting it become normal? So yeah, just challenge you to examine yourselves and really see what you are doing that glorifies God and what doesn't glorify God, and get rid of those idols. In Jesus' name. Thanks.